Hello, session number 41. This is what I'm calling my sciatica special. But don't worry, if you haven't got any sciatica, it's still going to be an ordinary Pilates workout. I'm just picking the exercises which are specifically good for people who do suffer from sciatica. But still going to get a good workout if you haven't got sciatica at all. Let's just start off with that posture check. Back of the head, shoulder blades, buttocks and heels up against the imaginary wall. Open the chest, slide fingertips down seam of trouser leg, tilt the pelvis slightly so the tailbone points down. Therefore, you will get your zip up and hollow there, pulling in and pulling up. Open up the hip bones so the buttocks engage, the knees flow out, the arch of the foot lifts a little bit. And then, of course, breathing full and wide into the ribs, then you don't interfere with your pull up and pull in. And then from there, just close your eyes. Spread out the toes and then rock forward into the balls of the feet and back into the heels. You're not lifting the toes, you're not lifting the heels, just gently taking the weight into the balls of the feet with the toes spread out and then rock back into the heels. Letting your breathing flow. So you're going to switch on those core muscles to help you balance. When you've taken away the ability of sight, then that's going to challenge you balance a little bit. So just rocking forward and back. And then bringing it back to the central position, keeping the eyes closed, just rock side to side. Taking the weight onto the outside of the feet, just a little rock side to side. Feel those tummy muscles engage, pulling up and pulling in as you do your little rock, just transferring the weight. Keep the back of the head, the shoulder blades, the buttocks and the heels up against that imaginary wall. And then bring it back to the start position in the center and open the eyes. Keeping the knees pointing forward over the toes, take it into a little squat, push up tall, and then add a shoulder roll. So you're doing a deep squat, pushing up, and a shoulder roll. Opening the chest, hips go back and down, and push up tall. Just squeeze those shoulder blades back and down. Warming up the hips, the knees, thighs and buttocks and shoulders. Getting those limbs moving. Big shoulder roll, opening the chest. Deep, deep squat, making sure the knees don't go any further forward than the toes. Hips back and down. And then maybe just one more time, do that little sit and push up. And then a big shoulder roll, keeping the chest open. If it's okay for you, take the feet out nice and wide. Keeping the chest open, and then just slide you back down that imaginary wall and push up tall. So deep squat. If that's no good, just keep the knees closer together and do the narrow squat again. Sit and push up. Sliding you back down that imaginary wall. Again, warming up the hips and the knees. But a narrow squat if that's no good. And then from there, if you just want to take the arms behind, arms in front, arms behind, arms in front. Just squeeze those shoulder blades together, lift the arms a little bit higher with each one, sliding you back down that imaginary wall, pulling the shoulder blades back and down. So deep, deep squat, reaching up, pulling back and down. And then on the next one, just hold it up. Bring it back down, rest the hands on the thighs, keep the chest open and rotate opposite shoulder to knee. Bring it back to center and twist. And also turn the head and look over that shoulder. Just a twist and look over the shoulder. If that's not comfortable, just stand up nice and tall, maybe cross the arms over, Cossack position, keep your hips pointing forward, knees pointing forward, and just do the twist. And also maybe just turn the head as well. Then you're getting the flexibility into the neck also. But if you can, you're going with your deep squat and you're twisting, turning the head. Flexibility into the neck. And keeping everything stable from the waist down. And then when you've done equal numbers in both directions, Just bring it back to the start position, walking the feet back in, coming back up to your start position, and then tapping foot forward, opposite arm goes forward, and then just swing forward and back. Load bearing on that standing leg. Try not to twist the hips at all. Just sliding forward and back. Keeping the back of the head up against that imaginary wall, your chin down over your peach. And then see if you can flex the foot and swing the leg forward and back. If that's too much for balance, of course, you just leave the toes on the floor. Try to keep your torso as stable as you can while you do that. And then maybe you could swing the leg forward, take the leg back and hold and balance. Keeping that chest lifted, feel the buttock clench, squeezing the buttock. And then toes down, slide back under, swapping to the other side. So just opposite arm and leg swinging forward and back. But try not to twist your torso. Keeping the shoulders down. Keep the tummy pulled up and in. Head lamps on the hip bones pointing forward, head lamps on the chest pointing forward. And then if you can, you would flex the foot and swing the leg forward and back. Keeping that torso as stable as you can. Just warming up all those joints. Switching on the core muscles to balance, as well as that load bearing for the standing leg. And then if you can, you hold that leg back and just hold and balance. Toes on the floor if you need to. Try and keep that supportingly relaxed so it's not locking. Squeezing back, feel that buttock engage. Toes come down, slide back under. Checking your position. And then from there, just lift your right arm up, turn the left palm back, and then swap. Just lifting the arms up. Back of the head, shoulder blades, buttocks and heels, up against that imaginary one. Just squeeze back as far as you can, while keeping your torso as stable as you can while you do that. Just increasing that range of movement through the shoulders. Trying to get the arm back as far as you can, pushing back, and of course working into that shoulder girdle as well. Squeezing the shoulder blades back too. And then when you've done equal numbers on both sides, just bring it back to that start position. And then from here, just do that little squat, push back and point toes forward. Do a little squat again and point the toes forward. Just a little squat, squeezing those shoulder blades together. Working again into that posture muscle across the upper back. Pushing back. And again, still warming up the hips and knees, thighs and buttocks. Just encouraging that chest to open. And then again, when you've done equal numbers on both sides, bring it back to the start position. Keeping the chin down over the peach. And then just turn the head, look as far as you can over that right shoulder. Drop the chin down into the chest, turn the head and look over the left shoulder. Keep that chin down over the peach. And then just drop the chin and lift the head. And then here is where we're going to start with the sciatica bit. See if you can take all the weight on your right leg and just bend the knee slightly and cross your left ankle over the thigh, and then just bring the hands into a Cossack position, and now take the hips back and down, balancing. Now going back and down as low as you can, and then just bending forward a little bit over the knees, sitting right back, balancing. Stretching into that outside hip and thigh. The lower you go, the better it'll be. If that's too much, of course, you could just maybe stand on one leg, standing up tall instead. Otherwise, hold that. Otherwise, you could just stand up and hover the foot off the floor. And then swapping to the other side. Again, you can just hover the foot if it's too much to do that stretch. Otherwise, bend that knee and then cross the right ankle. Cross the arms over. I'm focusing on the floor so that it helps me to balance. Keep the shoulders down and then just gradually take the hips back and down. Bring the weight forward. So really challenging your core strength and your balance, as well as getting that stretch through the outside of the hip and thigh, where that sciatica is. But of course, if you haven't got sciatica, it doesn't matter, you're balancing. And then just relax. Back of the head, shoulder blades, buttocks and heels up against that imaginary wall again. And do a lovely roll down. Just drop the chin. Relax those knees. Keep the tummy button pulled right up and in and roll it down. Hold that there. Nodding, nodding, nodding the head. Shake, 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 shake the head. And then just gently come up. Link by link, bone by bone, as always, up against that imaginary wall. And then if you just like to get your mat and stand at the back of your mat. Don't forget, back of the head, shoulder blades, buttocks and heels up against that imaginary wall. Put your zip up and hollow in. Drop the chin. Relax those knees. Keep the arms close into the legs and slowly roll down. Do that lovely roll down again. Open up the vertebrae. Just release that lower back. And then nodding, nodding the head. Get some movement in the neck. Relax the shoulders. Then just shake, 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 shake the head. And bending the knees a little bit. Walk out onto the hands and knees. And then just gently swing round into a sitting position. Make sure you've got enough mat to roll down on. And then lifting right leg up, hold on behind the thigh, tilt the pelvis, create the C curve. And then link by link, bone by bone, use those tummy muscles to control the speed at which you roll down and the weight of the leg. If that's not comfortable, of course, you can put the hands behind you and just control the speed with the hands as you roll down. Or you could roll over onto your side and then onto your back. Once you're there, take a moment to set up, bring the chin down, reach the fingertips towards the toes. It's got the length in the neck. And we're going to do that stretch again that we did standing up, but just in case you couldn't do it standing up, we'll do it lying down. And so you cross your right ankle over your left knee. Now, first of all, you could stay with just lifting that left heel. You can lift the left foot and just ease the leg in as far as you can in towards your body. Holding that there. And then from here, just slide the knees together and apart. Slide together and apart. Just keeping those legs in towards your chest. And feel that stretch going on. Outside hip and thigh down into the buttock. And maybe hold that there and do a little rock side to side. See how that feels. Seeing which kind of position you get the best stretch. A little rock there. And then maybe you could try just tilting the pelvis and releasing and arching the back a little bit. Tilt, crush the grape in the small of your back and then arch off the grape. And again, have a little experiment. See which of these positions works better for you. And then maybe you could hold the legs in and then extend up. And of course you can hold on behind the thigh just to ease the leg in towards your body. See how that feels. See if it just releases into that outside hip and thigh there, down into the buttock. And then of course you would swap to the other side. So you cross the leg over, either heel off the floor, or if you can, toes off the floor. Bring it in, see how that feels. And then knees together, knees apart. Knees together, knees apart. Just getting some movement into the hip as well. And again, you're seeing how that feels. Just encouraging that flexibility into the hip too. And then hold. And then from there, that little rock side to side. Just see how far you can take it over to the side. And again, noticing how it feels, which position works best for you. And then you can use that position to release the pain that you may have in that area at any time. And then bring it back, and then you would do the tilt and the arch, and the tilt and the arch. Remember, you can always hold on behind that thigh if that works better. Crushing the grape, arching the back off the grape. And then finally hold it there, straighten the leg, and ease the legs in again. Just ease it in that little bit more if you can. Feeling that stretch. Hold and stretch. And then just replace the feet to the floor. And then from here, just breathing in, nod your head, breathing out, curl up, crush the grape in the small of your back, keep the trade marks across your pelvis, look underneath your orange, take a breath in and start to pulse the arms. 5 little pulses on an in-breath, 5 pulses on an out-breath. Trying to keep everything else as stable as you can. Remember, you can support the head with one hand while you pulse with the other, but try not to twist your upper body. Press that tummy button right down into the backbone. Keep everything else stable. Now, the pulsing of the arms is going to increase the circulation in your body, relieving inflammation. So just pulsing. 5 little pulses on an in-breath, 5 little pulses on an out-breath. If you find that's too much for the neck at any point, you could have a little rest and go down and just pelvic tilt. Scoop out the tummy and just pelvic tilt. So you can do that all the time if you need to work those deep, deep abdominal muscles. But if you can, you stay with the pulsing to relieve that inflammation and increase your circulation. Looking forward underneath that orange, just the arms moving. 5 little pulses on the in-breath, 5 little pulses on the out-breath. So quite vigorous. And then when you've done enough of that, you just relax back down and then let the head roll from side to side and ease out the tension in the neck. Just let the head roll. And then bring the head back into alignment. Take the arms over the top of your head and stretch through your tummy. Lengthening through those hip flexors as well. Lengthening through the legs. Lift the rib cage away from the pelvis. And then bringing the arms back down by your side again. Trade marbles across the pelvis. Breathing in, nod your head. Breathing out, curl up. Look forward over your toes. And go with the pulsing again. Now it's a little bit trickier when you've got the straight legs. So if it's too much, bend the knees up again. Feet flat on the floor. Again, 5 little pulses on the in-breath. 5 little pulses on the out-breath. Keep that back pressed into the mat. Crushing the grape. Support the head if you need to. Or just go back to that pelvic tilting. Or you can do a little bit of this. You can have the knees straight or bent. Or you can do a little bit of this and then just do a little bit of pelvic tilting. Just pulse, pulse, pulse with those arms, challenging your core strength, keep everything stable. Maybe push your tongue up into the roof of your mouth to relax the front of your throat. Extending the legs out nice and straight if you can. And just keep going with that as long as you can. And then just relax back down. And again, let the head roll from side to side. You might just want to hug those knees into the chest while you do that. Just to release that lower back, open up the vertebrae again. And then bring it back to the start position, putting one foot down, the other foot down, stretch the legs out, take the arms over the top of your head, and give yourself a full body stretch again. Lift the rib cage, lengthen the legs, and then gently bring it back to your start position. And then put that trade marbles across the pelvis again, little grape in the small of your back. So tummy braced. You've got your left knee up, foot flat on the floor. And then lift the other leg up and straighten, if you can, the leg up towards the ceiling. And then bring it back to level with your thigh and knee. Keep the leg straight if you can, and now bring the leg in towards your left shoulder, in towards your right shoulder, out to the side, and then bring it back level with the other thigh. So it'd be left shoulder, right shoulder, side, sweep it round. Trying to keep everything else absolutely stable while you do that. Maybe just let your breathing flow. Don't forget to keep the chin down over the peach, keep the length in the neck. Making sure when you take the leg out to the side that your left hip is not lifting off the floor. And again, this is going to encourage lots of flexibility into your hip and getting that synovial fluid flowing as you move the joint. So lubricating the joint. Nice and smooth. Then maybe just take it the other way. I'm relying on you to count because you know I'm useless at the counter. So it's by the thigh, to the side, right shoulder, left shoulder, back to the thigh. But maintaining your stability throughout your body the whole of the time, keeping that left hip glued onto the floor. So basically it's a circle really. If you need to, you could bend the knee. If you find the hamstring is too tight, you can always just bend the knee. But if you can, straight leg would be better. And then when you've done equal numbers in both directions, just replace the foot to the floor, and without interfering with the grape or the marbles, you could always rest your hands on your pelvis to make sure you lift the other leg up. Put your glass of Prosecco on that right knee now, and then you go with the leg to the thigh, and then to the right shoulder, left shoulder, side and back. So right shoulder, left shoulder, side and back to the other thigh. Nice and smooth and with control. Keeping the chin down over the peach all the time, keep the length in the neck, keep that Prosecco balanced on your right knee this time. So lots of flexibility into the hip, but still working those core muscles all the time. Keeping the back on the grape and the trade marbles still. And then when you're ready, you swap it to the other side. Take it out, left shoulder, right shoulder, and center. Nice and smooth. And of course, with control. So you decide how many that you want to do on each direction. Make sure you do equal numbers. And then bring it back to the start position. And then if you just want to allow the knees to flop apart and stretch those inner thighs. Slide the heels as close in towards your body as is comfortable. And just allow the weight of your legs to take your knees towards the floor. Just stretch those inner thighs. And then coming back to the start position, knees up, feet flat on the floor. Orange between the knees, peach underneath the chin. Little grape in the small of your back, trade marbles across the pelvis. And then maybe just pop the hands behind the thighs. Breathing in, nod your head. Breathing out, just curl up and hold. And then lower, just so the shoulder blades touch the floor, and straight back up again. Press your tummy button to your backbone. You've got a little bit of a pull with your hands behind your thighs. You can support the head if you need to. Again, if that's too much for the neck at any time, you can always just reverse it and do your pelvic tilt. So you're just curling up. Maybe exhale up and inhale, just roll it back down, not all the way. Really engaging those tummy muscles. Keep the trade marbles still, pressing you back into that grape. You can, if you want to, just reach up, maybe that little bit further if you can. Up, fingers onto the tops of the knees. Support the head if you need to. Pelvic tilt if it gets to be too much.
So getting flexibility into your spine and releasing any impingement in that lower back, pushing as far forward as you can. And then when you've done enough of that, just relax back down, let the head roll, side to side, ease out that tension in the neck again. And then from here. Now if you don't want to do the curl up, we're going to curl up again. If you don't want to do that, what you could do is just put your trade marks across your pelvis, scrape in the small of your back, and extend one leg out, bring it back. Extend the other leg out and bring it back. You can always do that. Otherwise, what you're going to do is you're going to put your curl up in, bring one knee into your nose, nose to knee to nose, extend the other leg, and swap. So that the leg you're extending just hovers off the floor. Bring the nose to the knee to the nose. Again, getting flexibility into those hips, encouraging the synovial fluid to lubricate the joints. Just curling forward. If that's too much, as I say, you can just leave the head and shoulders on the floor, do the leg extensions, just whichever works better for you. And then see if you could maybe add a little bit of waist whittling onto that. So you would put the hands behind the head, elbows right back, and then alternate opposite shoulder to knee. We keep the elbows right back, so it's elbow to floor, elbow to ceiling, supporting the head, and crush the grape all the time. Keep the trade marbles still. So adding a bit of waist whittling into that. But if it's too much, of course, you don't need to do all of that. You can just leave the feet on the floor and extend the legs out. Keep the head, the shoulders on the floor. And then when you've done enough of that one, those deep abdominal muscles working really, really hard. Equal numbers on both sides, then just relax down. Let the head roll from side to side and ease out the tension in the neck. And then putting one foot down, the other foot down, stretch the legs out, take the arms over the top of your head. Give yourself a full body stretch from the tips of your fingers to your toes. Lift the rib cage out of the pelvis, feel those tummy muscles stretch and the hip flexors that you've worked. So you're lengthening through the legs. And then cross right ankle over left ankle. Take hold of your right wrist with your left hand and do that bend to the side. Remember, you can always have the arms down by your side if it's not comfortable for the shoulders, with the arms over your head. And just take the rib cage from the hip and lengthen down the side. And then you would swap to the other side. Just your upper body shuffling across. Keep the hips on the floor, shoulders on the floor, head down, neck relaxed. Just get a good stretch down the side. A little tug on the wrist if you can, or arms down by your side. And then bring it back to start position. Now we can go back to one of the earlier ones that we did, or we can make this harder. So what you would do is breathe in, nod your head, breathe out, curl up, reaching forward. And then from here, lift one leg up to tabletop, press you back down even further, lift the other leg up. And then you could extend the legs as the arms go over your head and sweep round, bring the legs in. So the lower you take those legs, the harder this is going to be. So if it's too much, please just go back to one of the earlier options. You could do the alternate legs in. Again, you can leave the head and shoulders on the floor and just extend the legs. You could do that, but if you can, the lower you take the legs, the harder that will be. Remember, you could support the head with one hand while keeping your back pressed into the mat and that grape crushed. Again, you decide how many you're going to do. Make sure your back doesn't come off the floor. If it is, lift the legs higher. When you've done enough, just hug those knees in, let the head rest, and rock from side to side. Ease out that neck again. And then putting one foot down, the other foot down. Stretch your tummy again. Lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. Lift the rib cage and stretch through the legs. Lengthen those legs. And then the best way you know how, coming up to sitting, either putting the hands behind, palms down, bend from the waist and push up, hold on behind one thigh and pull up, or you could roll over onto one side and push up to sitting, or you could breathe in, nod your head, float the arms up towards the ceiling, breathing out, peel yourself off, right up to sitting. And then taking the legs out nice and long, lift the chest, pop the hands down beside the thighs, and then slide the hands down towards your feet. Keep the shoulders down, the peach underneath the chin, backs of the knees pressed into the floor. Remember, it doesn't matter how far forward you go, you just need to feel the stretch in those hamstrings behind the knees up into the thighs. You'll also get lower back and buttocks. Flexing the feet, pushing the heels away from you. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, maybe walk the fingers a little bit further if you can. Get a really good stretch there. Hold and stretch. And then if you just want to gently, please roll over onto your right side. Let the head rest on the arms, stack the shoulders, hips, knees and ankles. Remember, you can always pop a cushion between your head and your arm, or if the shoulder is not comfortable, you could put the cushion underneath the head. And then just swing the legs forward, about a 45-degree angle, just over the front of your mat. Put your cup of tea on the outside of your hip, waist lifted a little bit off the hot stone, hand in front, hand behind, wherever is comfortable. And then from there, just lift the top leg, flex the foot and push it back behind you. Lift that top arm and reach it over the top of your head. And just get some length there. Hold that there. And then keeping the length, just bring the hand either in front or behind, whichever works better. And then swing the leg forward, do a double kick, and then point the toes back. So take the leg as far forward as you can on that double kick, and as far back as you can as you point your toes back. Flex, double kick, and point it back, while keeping everything else as stable as you can. Keeping that cup of tea still so those core muscles are still working. Getting lots of flexibility into the hip again, encouraging that synovial fluid to be secreted into the joint. And then maybe just one more time with that. Swing it back and hold. And then just bring the legs back, one on top of the other. Maybe just bring them back a little bit. And then from here, keeping that cup of tea still, so keep that zip up and hollow. Slide the foot in, turn the knee up towards the ceiling, and extend the leg up and lower it down. So sliding foot in, knee up, and extend and lower it down. So flexibility into the hip and the knee, still switching on those core muscles to keep your pelvis stable. Just watch the shoulder doesn't creep up around the ear. Putting that top hand wherever it needs to be. And then reverse it. Straight leg, bend and slide. Trying to keep the pelvis nice and stable. Remember, you've got your cup of tea on the top of that pelvis. So lots of flexibility into that hip and knee. But of course, those core muscles still working to keep you stable. And then one more time, or you do more if you want to. Get a good stretch to the back of the leg as you extend there too. And relax. And then gently, please, roll over onto your front. Just letting the head rest on the backs of the hands, lengthening through the legs. So the shoulders, hips, knees and ankles are aligned. Sliding shoulder blades down your back. Tummy button, of course, pulled up off your hot stone. And keep lengthening through those legs. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just hover one leg off the floor. Hold to lengthen briefly, and then lower it down. Then lift the other leg, hold and lengthen, and then bring it back down. So maybe exhale up, Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, hold, and inhale down. So you're doing it really slowly, and then concentrate on that lengthening. Feel the length through the hip as you do that. So it's just lift, hold, lengthen through the leg, and lower. It's not about lifting high. Your buttock is working, but also you're lengthening through that leg. So just lift, lengthen, and down. And again. Keeping your torso as stable as you can while you do this. Remember, you've got that cup of tea on the back of your pelvis. Just see if you can keep lengthening those legs. And then when you have done equal numbers on both sides, just relax and see if you can lift both the legs and then turn the heels in and the toes out a little bit and just clap the feet together. Now you're really going to feel those buttocks work. You're adding in the lower back. You can hold up, or you can maybe do 5 little taps on an in breath, 5 little taps on an out breath, and then bring it back down. Or of course you can stay with just the leg lengthening. It just depends on how you feel. So just alternate legs, or lift and just tap. Hold and tap, 5 little taps on the in breath, 5 little taps on the out breath. Go down and start again, or just hold it up. Really feel those buttocks work. Then when you've done enough, just relax back down. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, peach underneath the chin, and just push up. Hold. Slide your shoulder blades down your back, hold that there. Now if it's not comfortable with the hands underneath the shoulders, if that's too much range of movement in your back, you could take the arms to crucifix, bend the elbows at a 90-degree angle, and push up and hold. Leg through the tummy and working your back. So hands there, or if you can, underneath your shoulders, more range of movement there. You decide. Make sure the shoulders stay down away from the ears, legs long. So you're not coming up onto your knees at all, you're staying on your thighs. Maybe a couple of those. Whichever position you find most comfortable, contracting your back. And then just relax back down, and then bend the knees and just rock the hips from side to side. Just have a little rock side to side. Release, release. And then we've done that a few times. Just come back to the start position and push up onto the hands and knees. And then if you can, you do your prayer stretch. Sit back onto the heels, let the forehead rest down. Stretch lower back and buttocks. Remember, if that is not comfortable, you sit on your bottom, swing your legs around in front of you, and reach over the beach ball for your toes. And maybe just push up a little bit and just get those hips back further. So it's not about getting the head down, it's about getting the hips back as far as you can. So if you need to come up a little bit and push back with the hands, then do that. Then if you're in this position, just walk the hands around to your right side. Keep the head down, but make sure the hips stay down. And then put that left hand on top of the right hand. And then at the same time, just try and ease your hips a little bit further over towards the left side. Then you'll get more stretch down that outside hip and thigh, right down into the buttock. Now if you're sitting, just sit up tall and legs out straight and walk the hands around to the right side and just hold that there. Then in this position, you would walk it around to the other side, pushing back still so the hips are right back as far as you can get them, and then putting that right hand on top of the left, and then roll the hips a little bit further to the right, and then you'll get more stretch again. Just ease those hips over a little bit. Sitting, you would just walk the hands around to the other side, keep the buttocks glued down. Hold that there. And then gently bring it back to the start position. And then if you just want to come up and roll over onto your left side. Stretch the arm out. Remember, you can use your cushion if you want to. Take the feet at that 45-degree angle, waist lifted, cup of tea on the outside of your hip. And then lift the leg, flex the foot, and push forward and bring it back. And just hold it there. While you just feel that stretch, lengthen. Keep that length through the leg. Bring the hand back, either forward or back, whichever works better. And then do your double kick forward and point and swing back. Double kick forward and point and swing back. Just push forward and swing it back. Keeping everything else stable. Remember, you've got that cup of tea on the outside of your hip. Flexibility for the hip and the ankle again. But really switching on those core muscles. Keep your waist lifted slightly off your hot stone. Making sure that that torso stays stable. And then when you've done enough of those, remember you can always carry on if you feel you want to. Bring the leg back on top of the leg, just bring it back a little bit. And then bring the knee up towards the ceiling. And then take it up towards the ceiling and down, straight leg. So slide in knee up, extend, straight down. So it's knee up, working into that hamstring there, and gently bring it down, slide in, and up, and gently down. So nice and smooth, and with control. Keep that torso stable, and then of course, you would reverse that. So you start off with the straight leg, bend, slide. Straight, bend, slide. So lots and lots of flexibility in there, but still really working those core muscles. Just let your breathing flow. Watch that shoulder doesn't creep up. And again, you do as many of those as you feel comfortable with. And then we've completed as many as you want to do. Just gently, please, roll over onto your front, come up onto the hands and knees, and just do that prayer stretch. Sit back. And then if you just want to come onto the hands and knees and swing around into sitting, and then the best way you know how, roll gently down onto your back. Remember, you can hold on behind one thigh, put the hands behind you, you can roll over onto one side and roll over onto your back. And slide the feet in so the knees are up, feet flat on the floor. And keep, of course, the chin down over the peach. And then just cross your right ankle over your left knee. And get that stretch in the outside of the hip and thigh again, down into the buttock. A good sciatica stretch. Then if you want to, you can lift your left heel, you can lift your left foot, you can hug the legs in if you want to. And then also what you could do, if you're holding on behind that thigh, you could use your right elbow just to ease the leg out a little bit more. Just give that a little bit of pressure against the inner thigh. Have an experiment and see how well that works. You can always go back to one of the stretches that we did at the beginning, if that works better for you. Hold and stretch. And then release and change legs. So you can either just lift the heel, lift the foot, you can hug in, and then you can also add the elbow into the thigh if you want to. Just hold that there. Get a really good stretch. Just ease the legs in towards your body. Hold and stretch. Feel that muscle release. And then replace the feet to the floor. Then just roll over onto your front. Come up onto the hands and knees. And just arch the back, tuck the pelvis under, look back between the thighs.
And reverse that. Slide your shoulder blades down your back.
And reverse again. Drop the head, look back, tucking that pelvis under.
And then reverse. Lift the hips, slide your shoulder blades down for your back contract.
Make sure there's no strain on the neck. Still got the peach underneath the chin, between the chin and the chest.
Just reversing and dipping.
Maybe exhale up, inhale, hold. Exhale, dip, inhale, hold. And then one more time, just bring it all the way up, holding that there. And then relax and come into a sitting position, please. Either with legs straight or bent or crossed, whichever works better. Sitting up nice and tall. Remember, if that's not comfortable, you can always just pop a cushion underneath your bottom, just to lift you up a little bit and try and create a straight back. Right hand palm down underneath the buttock, sit on it and drop that left ear into the shoulder. Slide those shoulder blades down, keep the back up nice and straight. And then release and drop the chin all the way down into the chest. Just get some stretch through the neck. Slide those shoulder blades down, shoulders right down away from the ears. Keep that tummy zipped up and hollowed. Lifting the head, left hand palm down underneath buttock, sit on it and drop your right ear into the shoulder. Lengthen through the neck, just use the weight of the head. Still keep lengthening through the spine. And then bring it back to the start position. Peach underneath the chin, turn the head, look as far as you can over that right shoulder. And then slowly turn the head, look as far as you can over the left shoulder. Keep lengthening up through that piece of string in the centre of your head. Try not to tilt the top of the head back. Then gently drop the chin into the chest, lifting the head. And release those shoulders forward, up and round and back and down. And there we are, that's the sciatica special done. And next week, it has been requested that I do maybe 1 or 2 more half-hour sessions. So we're going to do a half-hour one next week. Maybe that fits in better for those of you who are sitting at desks and working all day. So a good stretchy one. And thank you for being there. And please do send me more suggestions. Please keep in touch. The more suggestions that I have, the better. Gives me something to think about and maybe do something a little bit different. So please do let me know if there's something else that you'd like. And I will be back again next week. Bye for now.